For centuries, Earthlings have attempted to contact extraterrestrial beings. Numerous attempts have been made to send information about humanity into space, but so far, none has received a response. And maybe that's for the best. Hello, you're on the NSK Show channel, and these are 8 attempts by humans to contact aliens. Geometric figures. As far back as 1820, the German mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss invented a special device, the heliotrope. Its primary function was for geodetic measurements, but the inventor tried to reach distant planets with the reflected rays of the sun. Another method Gauss proposed to attract alien attention was to create huge geometric figures on the Earth's surface. For example, he suggested cutting down a significant portion of the Siberian taiga in the shape of a huge triangle and sewing it with rye. 20 years later, the Austrian astronomer Joseph von Littrow, who believed there was life on the moon, proposed digging a gigantic 30-kilometer circular trench in the Sahara Desert, filling it with kerosene and lighting it at night so that we might be noticed from the moon. Both scientists, Gauss and Littrow, believed that geometric figures were the perfect message for extraterrestrials, as the entire universe adheres to mathematical laws. Images of various geometric figures created on Earth using plants can be found online. But now you know. These are not messages from aliens who have arrived on Earth, but messages from Earthlings to those who might see us from space. Concentrated light. Once, the French inventor and poet Charles Cros observed faint lights on the surface of Mars and Venus. They might have been some meteorological phenomena, but he decided they were lights from alien cities. In 1867, Cros published an article titled "Review of Possible Connections with the Planets." 2 years later, he began using a parabolic mirror to gather electric light and direct it towards Mars and Venus. Cros turned his lamps on and off in a specific sequence, something like Morse code. He hoped that the aliens would understand his encoded message. However, Cros doubted that small mirrors could handle such a complex task. Therefore, he appealed to the French government to install a huge parabolic reflector somewhere in the desert. Unfortunately, the inventor's petition was rejected, and his poetic dream of reconnecting with extraterrestrial intelligence never came true. Pioneer plaques. In the 1970s, NASA launched 2 unmanned spacecraft, Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11, with the purpose of studying Jupiter and Saturn, respectively. Renowned astronomers Carl Sagan and Frank Drake proposed including information about Earthlings in the technical payload of the spacecraft. They believed this would help extraterrestrials understand where the pioneers came from and why. Aluminum plaques attached to the spacecraft hulls schematically depicted a man, a woman, the solar system with the distance from the sun to Earth marked, and hydrogen atoms, as hydrogen is the most abundant element in our universe. Unfortunately, in 2003, NASA lost contact with Pioneer 10, and in 2005 with Pioneer 11, and as a result, we never received an answer to whether extraterrestrials could understand human drawings. After all, without knowing Earthlings, these schematic images could be interpreted in any number of ways. The Arecibo message. Among astronomers, there was active discussion about the possibility of establishing contact with extraterrestrials via radio signals, since they are less affected by cosmic dust and have a longer wavelength than light. Thus, the same Drake and Sagan devised a message encoding the DNA formula, atomic numbers of oxygen, hydrogen, and other elements, as well as numbers from 1 to 10 in binary. On November 16, 1974, scientists transmitted this encoded radio signal from the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico towards the globular cluster M13, located 25,000 light-years from Earth. There are indeed many stars in this cluster, and the likelihood of intelligent life there is very high. However, even if extraterrestrials receive our message, we would have to wait at least 40,000 years for a response. The Voyager Golden Record. In 1977, the American Space Agency launched 2 more spacecraft to explore the outer planets of the solar system, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. This time, at the suggestion of the tireless Carl Sagan, each spacecraft carried an aluminum container with a gold-plated disc. The disc contains sounds of nature, various languages, and musical compositions. Engraved on the container is a diagram showing how to play the message. Currently, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are at the edge of the solar system and are the farthest human-made objects from our planet. Remarkably, they still send signals back to Earth. But so far, none of these signals has been a response from extraterrestrials. Last photographs. I'm sure you remember the global excitement as the end of the 20th century approached. Everyone anticipated apocalypse, some computer crash, and so on, but fortunately, it all passed by. However, preparations for the millennium were underway worldwide. Some built bunkers, some celebrated the last days, and others contemplated how to transmit information about humanity to extraterrestrials before it vanished into oblivion. One such person was the artist Trevor Paglen, who successfully capitalized on the universal frenzy surrounding the apocalypse. For 5 years, he worked, collected photographs, consulted with leading scientists and philosophers of the time to make the images as realistic as possible and reflect the core values of humanity. Then the photographs were transferred onto a disc, surrounded by a golden casing, and sent into space. For 17 years now, the capsule with images of Earth and its inhabitants has been traversing the expanses of the universe somewhere to tell aliens about our existence. 100 photographs, from cave drawings to nuclear explosions. The complete history of Earth. Perhaps one day it will finally find its recipient. CHIPS advertisement. In 2008, a European institute broadcasted an advertisement for chips into space for 6 hours. It's understandable that such a large-scale action was aimed at attracting the attention not so much of aliens as of humans. The European Scientific Association had suddenly faced severe budget cuts and urgently needed funds. The advertisement was transmitted using radar in the form of binary code. Its target audience was potential inhabitants of a dwarf galaxy in the Ursa Major constellation, located 45 light-years away from Earth. And since the transmission was on an ultra-high frequency at 500 MHz, it could well land on the blue screens of green creatures, if they exist, of course. Telepathy. And finally, the most intriguing aspect. Most attempts to establish contact with extraterrestrial civilizations are associated with the use of advanced technologies. However, there are people who claim that they don't need any equipment to communicate with aliens. They can establish contact through telepathy. Among them is the renowned American ufologist, Dr. Stephen Greer. At the age of 8, Greer saw a flying saucer for the first time, which significantly influenced his interests. Moreover, his uncle was one of the creators of the lunar landing module in which Neil Armstrong descended to the moon. Therefore, Greer had been exposed to space-themed stories since childhood. In 1990, Stephen Greer founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence. His mission is to prepare society for possible contacts with extraterrestrials. Greer has assembled a vast collection of materials confirming the appearance of unidentified flying objects in Earth's atmosphere. In 1993, he launched the Disclosure Project. This structure is dedicated to informing the public about government-classified information regarding UFOs. The project brings together scientists, NASA specialists, astronauts, and representatives of other professions who collect evidence confirming the reality of UFOs. Producer Stephen Greer has no doubts about the existence of aliens. Several times a year, he recruits groups of volunteers and then takes them to secluded areas for meditation sessions with extraterrestrial beings. According to Greer, these expeditions for telepathic contact are highly successful. People reach higher levels of consciousness during these sessions, enabling them not only to converse with aliens, but also to recall their past lives. Of course, believing in this is challenging, to say the least, but according to some, it's all quite simple. We don't need to search for aliens. They have long found us themselves. We just need to learn to communicate in a language they understand. And finally, contact will happen. That's all for today. Don't forget to like this video and of course, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.